And welcome in, friends, into our June 2025 live Q&A session here on my YouTube channel, where I will be down to answer any questions I can to help you with your web design business. Let's double check a couple things to make sure we're good. I think we are. Pop on in the chat to make sure everything is working. Say hey. And I would love to start out today with something a little more interactive and fun. I would love to know, what are you guys reading right now? Jump in the chat. What book are you reading? I'm assuming we're all business owners here. We're always reading something. If we're not, I would encourage you to do so, and we could talk about some books maybe I'd recommend as a web design business owner. But I would love to know, what are you reading? What are you reading? Jump in the chat. Say hey. Good to see you, Anna. Welcome in. All right, guys, for everyone just joining, welcome on in. Welcome to our live stream. I just asked everyone to post in the comments what you're reading, if you would. I think it might be a fun kickoff here before we dive into some questions as we wait for other folks to come on in. All right. Hey, Alexia, good to see you. Zen Sailing Cape Town. Hey, from Tasman, Cape Town, excuse me. Reading My Personal MBA. Very cool. Very cool. I haven't heard of that. Awesome. I suppose I should probably share what I'm reading since I asked you guys. If you just joined us, welcome in. I'm asking you to let myself and others know what you're reading right now. I'm reading Sponsor Magnet by Justin Moore, who is kind of the king of sponsorships. It is an area I have dabbled into a little bit. I recently secured $16,000 worth of sponsorships for our in-person Web Designer Pro event. And I did that pretty much flying by the seat of my pants with listening to a few podcasts from Justin about how to structure sponsorships, and got some ideas. And I just put it all into a Google Doc and made some packages, just like I help web designers and Web Designer Pro make packages out of things. And it worked. So that's kind of what I'm reading. I'm looking to expand a few different revenue streams as well as we move forward. And one of them is sponsorships and brand partnerships. So I would love to know, what are you guys reading? Jump in the chat and let me know. Good to see Ed in the house. Ed is a Web Designer Pro OG member. We actually met in person just a few weeks ago. Ed, really good to see you in person. And gosh, what a great meeting. Ed actually got to meet my daughter, Bria. It was a special meetup. So Ed, really good to see you. Hope everything is well down there in Texas. All right, everybody, welcome in. We've got Justin, I see, in the house. Bet it feels good to be back to working out of holiday mode. Yes, my family and I did go on vacation, and anyone who has multiple children knows when you take your kids on vacation, especially we didn't have help, it is not a vacation. It is 100% a trip. Now, we had an absolute blast. My kiddos do great traveling and do great on vacation, but it's basically, for those who are not parents yet, it's like moving your life, which is chaos in itself, having multiple children, and just moving it to a place that has less stuff, no family or neighbors nearby, and then no like baby locks that you have at home. So we had to hurry up and get some door locks and stuff like that. So it was a lot of work, but it was awesome. Thank you, Justin. It is good to be back. I feel very fortunate that I have crafted a business that I truly don't need a vacation from. I mean, it's nice to take a break every once in a while and not jump in to do all the normal things. But at the same time, I don't like to go too long without doing my work because I love it and love being here with you guys right now. Nice tan, says Jeremy. Well, you probably get a tan anytime you want in Hilton Head, right, Jeremy? Good to see you, man. Digital Marketing for Dummies is what Justin's reading right now. Very cool. Okay. I actually haven't seen that one. So if you just joined us, welcome in. We're going to jump into some questions here, but I just asked what you're reading. I think as web designers, web design business owners in particular, it's nice to know what we're all reading and what we're up on. And even if it's not business related, let's have some fun. Let us know. On my list, says Justin, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Yep, absolutely. Still, like, I mean, when was that released? A few years ago, and it's still one of the top bestsellers all the time. It is definitely a stickler. I actually haven't read it start to finish. Need to do that. But yeah, it's obviously, for it to be probably the best-selling business book of the recent decade, That's probably safe to say. Yeah. Yep, for sure, Justin. Yeah, and I do actually have a video. If you go back, if you just Google top books to get to a 6-figure business, I did a video a while back on, and I stand on all those books that I recommend. So it might be worth checking out. Hey, Gallo 823 hashtag goals. May I arrive there soon. Work that gives life, not sucks you dry. That's the goal, Gallo. Yep. So keep on working towards that. It is not an easy venture. That's one thing to caveat with having a life doing work that you don't need a true vacation from, is it doesn't mean that it's not hard. Some of the best results in life come from very, very hard work, or at the very least, hard work sustainably, which is what I've tried to build, but over years. I mean, I've been self-employed for 16 years now. So I've been slowly but surely chipping away sustainably and working hard to get to this point. So keep at it, guys. Keep at it. Keep at it. Seema, good to see you in the house. Says, love Atomic Habits. Have to read it again. All right, guys. Good stuff to know. All right. Well, let me answer some questions. After all, this is a Q&A session here on my YouTube channel. So pop on in the chat. If you would, any questions you have about business and web design, we could talk about pricing. We could talk about getting clients. We could talk about AI right now. Those of you who are fellow Divi users, we could talk about Divi. Would love to answer any questions you have. And we'll do a couple housekeeping items here too as well. Jeremy said, the last book I listened to is Built to Sell. Good one. Always one I recommend. Currently listen to The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. Interesting self-development book. Thanks for the recommendation, Jeremy. That's great. The Gene Keys. Yeah, for those who have not heard of Built to Sell, it's one that I recommend in my business course. I highly recommend Built to Sell. It's a really easy read. It's very narrative. It's like a kind of a fun mentor story frame on it. And it just, for me, I'll personally say Built to Sell helped me think about how to restructure my offers into something that could be sellable. Even if I don't have plans on selling a business, which eventually I did, that book, as I think about it, really helped me. I would say it's fair to say the book Built to Sell helped me structure my business in the way that I could sell it in 2020. So yeah, definitely recommend doing that. It's just good to look at your offers, especially as a service provider, like a web designer, and look at how can I productize this in a way that is more than just creating a job and making it a product. And there's plenty of ways you can stay creative and keep the artistry, but still you want to ideally make something. If you want to be sustainable and eventually be able to move on from a business eventually, or even just take a different role in the business, Built to Sell is a great starting point. All right. Justin says, StoryBrand has a new 2.0 edition. Oh, that's right. I saw that. And Justin said, looking forward to the day you write a book, Josh. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, I did start one. I'm kind of, I've had other priority items just because writing a book, if it's going to be as worthwhile as I want it to be and it is long lasting, it's a lot of work. And feel like I'm getting to the place where I could start to commit to that. I'm just kind of wondering, like, things are changing so fast too. It's easier to update courses and produce new content than have a paper chapter that needs to be updated. So the book that I have in mind is timeless. Like, I don't want to write a book and have to do a new version every year. I want to, just like my business course, some of the other ones have proven to be very timeless. That's kind of the goal of the book, which is why it's not something I've jumped at putting out. But yes, Justin, that is on the forefront. Hey, Austin. Look, Tanner, says Austin. I was on the beach every day. Man, and we had beautiful weather in Orange Beach, Alabama, which is right on the side of Florida. So thank you, weather gods, for the amazing weather we had with the kiddos. It was great. And it was really nice to take a break, but I'm ready to get back. So I'm back. I'm Tan. Let's answer some web design business questions. What do you guys have for me? Jump in the chat. Leave a Q in front of it if you would, just so I can pinpoint and see that it's a question. I hope that eventually YouTube adds a Q&A box like Circle has. I'm hoping they do that. It would be mighty handy, that's for sure. And one thing I will say that I recommend checking out, for those of you, a lot of you have probably seen this, but if you haven't, I recently posted an in-depth recap of our recent in-person Web Designer Pro event, WDPCon 2025. If you hadn't had a chance to check this out, it's just a lot of really cool things to get from it, even if you weren't there or if you're not yet a member of Pro. There's a recap video here that's just highlights, but then I put a full post together here that really walks you through everything we did and gives you some tips on what I've learned in putting on an event. And then I also talk about the revenue and expenses as well. So if you're interested in that, I just put it in the chat. It is actually the first post that I've ever put on webdesignerpro.com. So starting to add more content on webdesignerpro.com if you're interested. And there's a special offer for you if you're interested in jumping into Web Designer Pro, which is actually the same offer I was just going to mention for you here on the live stream. If you're interested in Web Designer Pro, if you've been on the fence, you can use code June50 right here. At checkout, you'll get 50% off your first month. This is good for the courses tier, which gives you access to all my courses, or the community tier. So jump on that if you're interested in jumping into Pro. That'll just give you a little chance to have a bit of a discount as you try it out, get familiar with it, and see if it's a good long-term fit for you. So I hope to see you in Pro after this. We've got questions starting with Seema, and after I take a quick drink of this delicious water. Seema says, I worked on an author's site who has a separate blog on Blogspot. She wants to move the blog to a WordPress site. Awesome. Any advice? Should I link to her old blog? Ideally, especially if the blog is going right to the website, Seema, and it should work together, then moving over to WordPress is going to be the best deal for sure. Also, I don't know, I've never used Blogspot personally, but we all know WordPress is best practice and best standard for most all blogging platforms. So you can just do so much more with it. And as most of us as web designers know, there's so many more options to be able to get further into the SEO side of things and post types and categories and everything with WordPress. So absolutely, Seema, I would recommend moving that over. Now, I can say that easily, say move it over, but it depends on the scope of work we're talking about here. I don't know how many blogs we're talking. I don't know the existing domain authority on that site. Those are all factors to consider when you put this proposal together for her. And the other thing you'll need to think about too is with the SEO rankings that are in place, what about the metadata, the descriptions, all those things that are outside of the actual just post content? So I would just almost create a spreadsheet and see if there may be a migrator option. I wonder if there is a Blogspot to WordPress migrator. Looking online right now, I don't know. There may be, if somebody knows, let us know. I do wonder if there's Blogger to WordPress, but I do wonder if there's a Blogspot to WordPress migrator tool. It does look like there's some resources, and it may depend on the hosting company, but it would be worth checking that out, Seema, just to see what options might make it easier for you to be able to do that. Again, depending on the scope, depending on the amount of work, could be a lot of work, which I would encourage for them. It would be better to have that all under one roof under the same domain and with more flexibility in WordPress. But definitely make sure they know it's not as simple as just moving my blog over to WordPress, because there may be a lot of work involved with that. Maybe some boots on the ground and maybe some work you may want to consider hiring off for a junior or a contractor to do some of the repeatable work. Yeah. Let me know if that helps, Seema. Justin with WebLogic says, lots of talk about Google new AI Overviews feature right now. People are getting less organic click as a result of AI reviews taking the prime position at the top of the search results pages. So that could be true, Justin. There could be less clicks, but that doesn't mean that I would not focus still heavily on SEO, because where are those Google AI Overviews coming from? The best content and the best blog posts and the best resources. So it's still really worthwhile. I think even if you take a Google, because those are all cited, so there's still a lot of authority behind that. This gets into an interesting point with AI right now, because what's interesting is, like, yes, AI is making it so that you may not actually click on the website. You'll just get the information that it pulls from, but it's still cited. And it also means that your information is probably going to be distributed if it's a high performing post or piece of content to a lot more people, because AI, whatever tool it is, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or Overviews or whatever, is using that for like a wider disbursement. So I actually think in some ways that may lead to more clicks for people. You know what I mean? Like rather than having just a narrow reach where all people have to go to the blog, now it's a much wider reach where they get the information, then you're cited, then they may click off for more. So, and I think, I don't know any of this exactly, but I think Google and all of the AI tools are going to, I think it's important to focus on SEO now, whereas a lot of people are starting to neglect it because there's more opportunity. And I think AI tools are going to start to really recognize those who stay consistent and do really good content and start to reward those over time. So long way of saying, I think it's time that we focus on SEO and appease the AI overlords, as it were, because I do think it'll pay off for us eventually. Yep. Awesome. And Austin did say, yes, definitely worth it for SEMA to move that over to WordPress. Ed agrees. Awesome. We've got Ed in the house. Yes, Ed, good to see you again. It's been a little while. Wow, was it that long ago? Was it 4 years ago? Good to see you again, Ed. Has been a little while. Thanks a ton, says longtime listener. Now, Ed is more in the marketing world than website at the moment, but he just finished. I love how Ed's separating the questions too, so I can put this all in a line or two. So thank you, Ed. Just finished your first 10K web design job with a partner who did the design work. Well done, Ed. Well done. Let's round of applause if you guys can hear that one. Awesome, Ed. You got a partner to help you out with that. And Ed said, I laid the foundation for him. Well, wow. Ed, thank you, dude. That's freaking awesome. Thank you so much for the live testimonial and feedback. That's incredible. Good on you. Congrats on landing that 10K site and being that you're more focused on the marketing side, which is not uncommon for a lot of web designer pros, I'm finding. I know Ed was in it for a little while. We've got a lot of pros right now who actually have the focus on marketing with web design as a part of the offers. But you did it right. You hired out what you are either not interested in doing or just don't have the current skill set or expertise on. So good on you, Ed. That's freaking awesome. Also found them in BNI, which is what I recommended. Yeah, awesome. I've been saying it. If you guys want 10K projects and more, in-person networking. One more time, in-person networking. It worked a decade ago. It worked before that. It works right now. It will continue to work in the future. There's a ton of ways to get clients, but in-person networking still is high quality, especially an organization like BNI. For those who don't know, it is a referral group. It's different than a networking group because sometimes, networking groups are referral groups, but networking can just be to like expand your network or meet new business owners. Referral groups are like, hey, I'm Ed. I do web design or I have a marketing agency. We do this. We're looking for clients right now who do this or at this size of business. And you get people who are paying to be there just like you. So there's an automatic new commonality and likability there because you guys are all serious about business. So thank you for mentioning that, Ed. He said, also still making good pocket money hosting the first clients from 2022 using Managed WP, which I recommended. Awesome. Love it, Ed. Listen, you got a sweet little almost web design side hustle along your web design or your marketing business. So good on you. Man, I hope to see you back in pro when the time is right, when you want to boost up the web design side of things. So let me know if you have any questions, or if you want to jump back in, you can jump back in with code June50, which is a coupon code that you guys can use to jump into Web Designer Pro for 50% off your first month. Details on that are below if you would like to jump into Pro. Good for the courses and community tier. We are currently at a wait list now for the coaching. I am at capacity with the coaching, so heads up. First time I'm talking about this publicly, but what we're going to start doing is folks on the community tier will have opportunities to jump up to coaching when I open slots up. So for right now, jump into courses or community. And then if you're interested in coaching, let me know, and I'll make sure that you are on the list for the next opening. Awesome. Hey, Curtis, good to see you again. Curtis wants to know, what do you think of the Automattic for Agencies offer? I'm not familiar with that. Let me look that up. Automattic for agencies. Let's have some fun and check this out. I'm going to give you my live initial thoughts on this. So discounted pricing. So Woo changed their logo. Is that new? I just saw Woo change the logo. Yeah, I mean, the only thing out of these I use is Woo. Does anybody use Jetpack? Pressable, I think some people use. Interesting. Now, I can't help but wonder so basically the way I'm seeing this, they're calling out WP Engine and other hosts that have more agency focused hosting. So this looks like Automattic's rebuttal to that. For those who are WordPress users, we don't need to rehash all the drama that's happened over the past, 7 or 8 months, but there was a big, and still is a big lawsuit going on between Automattic, which owns WordPress, and WP Engine. So my initial thought on this here is that it just looks like I don't want to say a knockoff version, but it looks like I said, the rebuttal to an agency program specifically for WordPress. I don't know. I'd have to look into it further. I mean, I guess the real question is like, I don't see anything that is like catching my eye and being like, this is a no-brainer. Absolutely. I've never used WordPress.com. WooCommerce is obviously a biggie. That's the only thing that I would personally be interested in this. If anyone else is interested, let me know. But yeah, it absolutely looks like, digging at trying to get at the market share for agencies who are primarily using WP Engine, Flywheel, Kinsta, Pagely. Interesting too. Yeah, man, my only beef with Automattic right now primarily is that they seem to be just like publicly nipping at like co-opetition. I know, there may be legitimacy behind some of the initial problems that Matt Mullen had with WP Engine, but it feels like parents who are fighting and they're like on the edge of a divorce and they're like trying to get the kid to be like, why don't you hang out over here? That's kind of the vibe I get. The vibe I get is that WordPress and Automattic is like one part of the marriage who is very disgruntled and the other part is as well. And they're like, WordPress and Automattic are like trying to get the kid to hang out with them more. That's the vibe I'm getting, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So there it is. So yeah, I don't know, Curtis. Strikes me as a little like, I feel a little icky about it. Got to be honest. Awesome. And Ed is also still doing a lot with Divi too. Great to hear, Ed. Divi 5, by the way, is what I'm using for WebDesignerPro.com, and it is slick, and it's just getting better and better. So real quick, for those who are Divi users, my little quick minute recommendation is to stick with Divi 4 if you have sites that have a lot of complexity and third-party add-ons and tools until Divi 5 is officially ready, which the hope from what I heard is fall this year. That's obviously not set in stone, but I would stick with Divi 4, even though the process isn't as slick and snappy and fast as 5, the actual building site, building part of it. But if you have a site like WebDesignerPro.com, which is pretty lightweight, I'm not using any like additional plugins or add-ons, then Divi 5 is good to go. You're good to use Divi 5 now. It's rock solid. It's secure. I've actually been using it since August last year, well before I should have publicly been using it. So that's my take on Divi 5 for anyone who's curious about it. All right. Zen Sailing says, hey, Josh, still stuck trying to move beyond custom Divi builds. I want to offer ready-made templates with limited client input to streamline projects. But how could this ever really work? It could work in a lot of different ways. The best example to follow for this, we've had my friend Jason Gracia on the podcast multiple times. He's done a couple trainings at Web Designer Pro. He was actually just a live presenter at our recent WDP Con event. But go to this site. I'll jump it in the chat. Now, he is an Elementor guy, but it is swiftsites.com. He has the best, most productized service using one Elementor template on all of his builds. And if you go and look at his website portfolio, you'll see a lot of the sites, yeah, they do look the same as far as the structure and everything. It's just the actual messaging and colors and copy that look a little bit different. But he's doing some more things in and around the website too, with like a booking form and stuff like that. But it can absolutely be done. Now, to answer your question more tactfully, it's easiest to do it when you have a niche. The problem with a template site is if you're dealing with completely different brands and different industries, the same template is not going to work for a home inspector that works for, a chiropractor, or that works for a midwife, or that works for a large steel company. Those all have different needs. Now, there may be some similarities in that you have logo on the left, menu in the middle, call to action on the right. But if you really want to bypass a lot of the initial custom work, then doing it for a niche is probably going to be the best way to do it, quite honestly. And I'm only saying this for you, Zen Sailing, because, and I'm just saying Zen Sailing, I know that's not your name, but that's the brand on YouTube. I'm only saying that because the folks I've seen who productized have a very, very clear customer profile, like an avatar, customer avatar. So now that doesn't mean that you can't templatize the custom builds. What I would do is just start with like a few different style templates. I imagine most of your custom work, most of it could probably fit within 3 buckets, I would guess. So I want you, a little homework here, a little challenge for you. I want you to think about all of the websites you've designed. If you could put those into 3 buckets, meaning like this is site style 1 or site style A, let's say. Site A is like a very simple, less than 5-page website. It's got a home page, about, 1 service page, and a contact. Maybe that's bucket 1. Maybe bucket 2 is a more like medium style site that has homepage, multiple services pages, some local SEO, maybe contact page, a quote form, maybe a calendar. And maybe that's bucket 2. And then maybe bucket 3, style C, is like the robust sites that have multiple post types. They've got a blog that clients are updating. They're doing a lot more work in there. There's more advanced pages and functionality. That could be a 3rd bucket. So I would create a template for each one of those. You've got template A, template B, template C, and then you could take your custom work in your ranges. Hopefully your ranges are like 25, 5,000, 10,000, somewhere in that range, at least for a 6-figure business, more depending on what you're adding in with copywriting, SEO, etc. But what I would do is create those categories. And in that way, you've got a starting point. And it's not perfectly productized, but it is templatized and systematized. So that's where I would start. So let me know if that helps. Awesome. Zen Sailing says, amazing. Thank you. Awesome. 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 So I hope that helps. That's the approach I would take for sure. Awesome. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Ed. Ed or anyone else in jumping back into Web Designer Pro or jumping into Web Designer Pro, there's that coupon code to use right there. June 50% off your first month. Come on in. Check it out, guys. It's hot in Web Designer Pro right now. Are you up to speed with Fair Package Manager Project? An open source distributed WordPress plugin and theme repository that decentralized control of the repository. No, I am not, Justin. First I've heard about this one. Bearing in mind that my emphasis and focus was on our in-person event in early May, and then my daughter had a medical emergency shortly after that, and then we went on vacation. So, and this week we're settling in from vacation. So, basically anything that's happened in the last 6 weeks, assume I don't know a thing. But thank you, Justin. Good to know. Good to know about that. So it's a new initiative to decentralize key WordPress services. And this is where that Automattic for agencies may come into play. They may want to retain some sort of control for that, depending on how all this rolls out. WordPress is interesting. It's in a very interesting spot right now. Keep in mind, WordPress is still, I think last I saw, 44% of the internet. So it's not like it's in trouble or going anywhere. But as we're seeing, there's a lot of changes going on with the nature of open source and with the companies behind it that are now, thankfully, warring with each other. And we are like the kid in a divorce who's getting the brunt of it. Headed up by Linux. Interesting. Yeah, I might be into Match Stranglehold. Agreed. It is, Ed. Is Divi still a good builder in 2025? Still recommending it? Yes, I am, particularly Divi 5. Again, I'm very empathetic for Divi because I know a lot of people throw shade at it, but you have to remember Divi was groundbreaking in 2013 and 2014, and it could not be beat back then. But in the decade, a lot has happened, a lot of new tools have come, and Divi has had to completely rebuild. I would argue that a lot of companies would just throw in the towel or just stick with a dated platform. How many of us have used a platform that just stops innovating? And they're like, we just can't keep up. We're just going to hold on to as many customers as we can until this thing bleeds out, basically. Divi did the hard work. The teams at Elegant Themes did the hard work that a lot of SaaS companies don't do. And they not only innovated Divi, but they rebuilt it from the ground up, which is why this is not a 3-month project. It's been multi-years. So yes, short answer for you, Ed, is yes, I am absolutely still using Divi and I'm recommending it in 2025. And I would definitely give Divi 5 a go if you're interested. It's a whole different experience than Divi 4, and it's very fast, very snappy. Austin said, as Matt doesn't stop, Wix is going to become a huge threat to WordPress. That's Austin's hot take, hot opinion. I need a sound effect for hot take. What do I have here? I don't have anything for, no. All I have is this. That is currently the hot take sound. I do think, yeah, it is interesting. Wix Studio is an entirely different product than Wix. I think overall, though, that brand will start to take more market share, especially since they're going after agencies now rather than DIYers. I think what will probably happen is my take would be if WordPress truly does start to shrink in market share, it's going to be split pretty evenly between things like Wix, Webflow, Framer, and what's interesting, I'm about to do a couple videos here looking at just purely experimenting with a couple builders. SiteGround has a new website builder that you can do natively on the hosting. And it's simple, but for something simple, it would do the trick. And you wouldn't need to worry about a whole other platform. You could just go with SiteGround hosting and put something up with their builder. I don't think I can publicly say this, but there's another platform that I really like and use that's also coming out with a website builder, and I'm about to start playing around with it. These things are by nature pretty simple, and they don't hold a candle to WordPress with what it could become. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say for things like sales pages, for landing pages, for 1 to 3 to 5 page sites, some of these tools are going to start to do the job. And I do think WordPress is going to be for the professionals' place to go. Yeah. But Wix Studio and Webflow can do professional things as well too. Curtis had a call with one of their reps and I spoke my mind about how they are conducting business in regards to Automattic. Good on you, Curtis. I think they need to hear that. It's probably not a shocker. I mean, they're on the forums. They're seeing the stuff, but I do think some of those type of harsh, honest feedback calls and questions it's what needs to happen at this point for sure. Nice. Glad you still like Divi, says that. I rebuilt my marketing business site and GoHighLevel, which was a pain design wise. Ooh, yeah. See, that's the problem with some of these builders though that are native is it would be different if you're doing a page or again, something simple, but if you do a whole marketing business, yeah, I absolutely could see. I haven't used the GoHighLevel builder, but I'm sure it was an absolute pain, to say the least. Good for setting up sales funnels. Exactly. Good for certain things, some of these builders. An amazing productized service in relations to Swift sites. Yeah. Here's one reason for you, Ed, that I'd recommend jumping into Pro, even for just a month at 50% off, is this right here. Let me share this with you guys real quick. So we recently had our in-person conference, and one of the big things we did in there is we had 5 guest speakers. The presentations are live now in Web Designer Pro. So here is Web Designer Pro. If you go into the training library, each one of the live presentations are now posted. Jay Klaus of Creator Science was there live talking about email and newsletters to help grow your business. One of our own members, Sam Sarsden, who is closing in on a multi-six-figure MRR business with local SEO, shared his thoughts on how he did that. Shannon Mattern talked about pricing, and Jason Gracia with Swift Sites. We literally did a mock-up sales call together, and he walked us through. Those who were there can jump in the chat and let everyone know how freaking awesome this was. I was the lead with a mustache. Jim Shorts showed up, but Jason literally walked through every bit of his sales call, which has made him, with his productized offer, over $2 million building websites in 5 years. And I'm not blowing smoke on that. That is literally, I'm in a mastermind with Jason. We meet once a month. He is no joke. So he has a very, very productized offer. It's not for everybody because all he does is sales calls. That's it. He has a team that does the rest and it's all automated. But you could still take these principles and add it to one or multiple parts of your business. So Ed, if interested, I would really recommend, even if you just jump in for a month, jump in and watch this replay. And you will get his sales call slides. They're right here. You can literally download his slides that are worth over $2 million in 5 years. Literally, it will walk you through his exact slides, how he talks about his platform, how he showcases results on his coaching clients he's worked with, and then he goes through his strategy and everything they do. Guys, it's an absolute, I need to talk about this more because what Jason did on this day was remarkable. So I'd really recommend you jump into Pro. Details below. Code June50 will get you 50% off. You got to be on the community tier to actually jump into this and watch it. But any tier that you're on in Pro, just for reference, you do get access to the Pro podcast feed. And yes, this training is on the podcast feed. So you'll get this. And Jason, the audio of this call is up right here. But to get the slides and the full resources, jump into the community level. And I would jump on that this weekend. Yeah, that'll really help you. And anyone else who's interested in productizing in some way. Yep. Yeah, it said smart productizing for coaches. Hey, Matthew, good to see you. Good question here. And we'll get to some more questions here. Working with an agency that white labels my web work. They take credit and handle the client. When invoice payments are delayed, they blame the client. I'm in a web white label setup. Should they? So you're not getting paid until they're getting paid. Is that right, Matthew? What I would probably work out with them, just pay me on time and handle the client payment separately. Yeah, I mean, in my view, a contractor should always be paid regardless. That's the one caveat towards being a business owner is you assume the risk and you assume everything else. Your team gets paid first. Now, some would argue you get paid first as the owner, and I would back that up, but your team also gets paid right with you. Like, I would never hire somebody and say, I can't pay you. We're still, especially after all the work they've done, because you, for all intensive purposes, Matthew, have every right, if you're not getting paid on time, to completely peace out. Or one thing you could look at doing, the agency's not going to like me for advising you to do this, but I think it's what's fair, is to have a penalty. Just like clients have a penalty if they don't pay on time, hopefully the agent, like take this clip and send it to them. Have the agency have a penalty for late payments. Same for them. And what I might recommend doing, Matthew, depending on what agreement you have set up with them, if you're doing a lot of ongoing work, I would just do a monthly retainer. And whether it's hourly or by project, a percentage of projects, if you can get to that point where you're just a little more of like it's basically like an MRR plan, a monthly recurring revenue plan, but with your white label work, you could absolutely do something like that for a while. And that gives them some grace. That way, if a client pays early or pays late, it's still the same for you. You still have that stable income and it's easier for them on their books. So I would recommend something like that rather than living and dying on each project for sure. Cool. Yeah, Ed says he's got one like that too. Yeah, but because Ed's awesome, he said that was on me. His white label actually helped him through making sure they collect on time. And again, this is where penalties and fees come into play. I have no problem advising that, because it happens with anything else. What happens when if you miss a mortgage payment and you're 15 days behind, are they going to be like, oh, don't worry about it? No, you're going to get charged. You're going to get a fee. It's not personal. It's business. It's real life. So real world, you need to have a fee. You need to have a penalty, late fee. Yep. Awesome. Yeah, good call, Justin. No, they should not, because their client is not your client. You need to establish the ground rules and get paid on time, even if they are chasing payments. Yep. Again, being an owner of the business means you assume the risk, you assume the liability, you assume the lack of payments until they come in. That's part of the game, guys. Being an owner is the best way to build wealth, but you're also assuming all the responsibility. Just like owners, just like we all have lives of freedom that we get to with these online businesses that we have. The other end of that coin is responsibility and liability and assuming all the risk, which most people do not want. That's what separates us from salary workers at corporate jobs. Yep. Alexia, is the other platform Circle? I can't say for sure, Alexia. I'm not, because I don't know if that can be public news yet, but I have to move on because I can't say for sure. You guys are on to me. Made it too obvious. Yeah, look, the reality is a lot of platforms are doing this to where, particularly for landing pages and sales pages, man, oh man, is it nice to just have it in the platform, or for funnels, like Ed said with GoHighLevel, rather than using a full-on different platform for a site. Now, again, it would take, I don't know what it would take for me to move from WordPress and Divi. It would be a lot because the flexibility is second to none. And I just know Divi so well. And I like the people. I know the team. It would take, a lot to move from that. But there are times where some other platforms are a good decision. But it doesn't mean that you need to bail on WordPress or Webflow or Wix or whatever you're using. But it does mean that nowadays, and I think moving forward, there's going to be other tools that might be fine for the job, quite honestly. Now, I had a conversation with Kevin Geary, who's going to be on the podcast, about what he's doing with Etch. And he made a good point in saying that if with a platform he knows, like Etch and WordPress, he could whip up a single page site way faster than getting to know a builder on another platform. And that's very fair. And I would say, yeah, if you're super fast and efficient with Divi and you can just bust out a page and do it like that. But for a lot of people who are like, they're unsure about a business, or let's say somebody starts a community with Circle or something on SiteGround, and they're not sure how far this is going to go. They don't know if they want to invest in a full website, but they just need an offer page. Then they could potentially use those builders as an offer option and prove it before moving on to an eventual full website. Is Circle going to be the next GoHighLevel in the future? I think Circle is going to be the next GoHighLevel for communities. Yep. I don't know how far off they are now. They've got marketing. I don't know, Justin, you're on Pro, Alexia, Austin, a few others here. I'm sending marketing emails out now from Circle through the marketing hub. I have marketing enabled in Circle, so I can just send out marketing emails directly. And it's very cool. It's very nice because I can segment people. I can just go in and do an email and segment people based off their tag or based off their paywall subscriptions. So yeah, I think Circle and a few others are going to try to be a lot more in-house moving forward. But Circle is so far ahead of the game compared to other platforms because they have so much funding behind them. Most platforms need to take way longer to get to a place where like Circle has got in just a handful of years. Yeah. Great questions, guys. Great thoughts too. I'm actually planning to redesign my site from Show It to Elementor because I have so many things I want to customize and add. There you go, Alexia. Yep, I know you're an Elementor gal, so by golly, if you know it, you love it, do it. That's the other problem, and I wouldn't say problem, but challenge that Squarespace, Show It, and others have, and some of these like page builders that, hosting platforms like SiteGround and others have, is they are limited. So they are not built to be like a big, long long-term solution for a full website. It's, again, going to be probably more tactile and probably for a certain need. Yeah. Great stuff, guys. All right. Well, we've got 15 minutes that I have blocked out for you. So jump on in the chat with some more questions, anything that's on your mind, anything you want to get some insight on. Great questions so far, guys. Lots of good talking points here. As a quick reminder, there is a code below in the description for you to jump in to Web Designer Pro, our freaking awesome community, to see what's going on and to be a part of this and to learn from folks for 50% off your first month in Pro. I would recommend jumping into the community, and here's why. When you jump in, not only will you get the replays and slides from our recent live presentations at WDPCon, which are game-changing. Alexia called these transformative, the whole experience. So much good feedback on these, guys. I'm going to do a better job at pushing these because I don't want this just to get watched a few times this month. And then we need to cycle back around to these because they're so dang good. So I would personally jump in on these, download their slides, apply this to your business, make a lot more money really fast. A few of the things that I would check out in the community tier for Pro is jump over to our wins and successes, because what is working for web designers in Pro is what you will see right here. You can look at folks closing the biggest job so far, the tools that folks are using. Alexia is here with an SEO win with ChatGPT. You can apply that to your business. You can find out how Courtney here booked a signature project with a personal video. If you want to know how to get clients and what to do in the next month, do this. Go down this list and do each one of these and get more clients. Boom. Easy as that. I really recommend that. Also, we do have a pros for hire space. So if you are like Matthew or others who are a white labeler and you're working with other agencies and looking for referral partners, you can come in here. And I would say you can't expect to get anything out of this if you're just going to jump in and try it out for a month. But if you're going to commit to Pro for at least a few months, then you can jump in here, post your specialty, what you're good at, what tools you use, and you can partner up with pros who need help, because people are posting opportunities in here all the time. Every week, we have generally a new opportunity for those of you who are looking to work with other pros right here. So jump on in, guys. Those are just a few aspects of Pro that are some of the biggest helpers with growing your revenue really quick. But you'll also get access to our upcoming trainings. Next week, by the way, Kristen Atkins, who was on the podcast recently, she also has a productized offer for specifically speakers. She is going to walk us through her launch packs. She sends clients a launch pack with resources and copy that's already built out so her clients can promote the new website she just built for them. And it has got her so many referrals. That's going to be next week on Tuesday, that she's going to be live in Pro, and we can look at her launch packs in real time and ask questions. And then in August, those of you who are interested in paid discovery, we have the master of paid discovery, Rachel Graham, who's on the podcast this week, actually. And she's actually going to walk us through her paid discovery offer. So we do these live trainings almost every month in Pro, just as another perk of joining the community tier. So code below, June 50 will get you in 50% off your first month. Oh, thank you, Alexia. Alexia says, I wouldn't be where I am in life and business without WDP for real. So awesome, Alexia. I know. I can't believe that it's been, a year and a half. Didn't you join in January of last year? So it's been almost a year and a half. And I told you, because got to meet Alexia live just last month in person, our first conference. And Alexia is a different person than she was last year, 6 months ago. So Alexia, think about the progress that you've made in 18 months now. Now, think about the progress you'll make in the next 18 months. Because here's what it's going to look like. I see this all the time with folks like Alexia who commit to it and stick to it and learn and chip away 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. Alexia's progress went like this. And then the next 18 months, they're going to go like this, because that's higher and to the right for those just listening. Because it compounds, because every little thing you learn compounds on each other. Every new referral you get, every new connection you make, every referral partner you meet, every network, every part of your network that expands, every job that you do that has a footer that says site designed by Visual Vibe Web Design. Alexia, I hope you're doing that in the footer. All of that compounds. And then eventually, not too long, typically, you're at the place where you get 20 plus projects and you're ready to scale and you're at 6 figures and we're on the next tier and the next evolution of your business. So thank you, Alexia. Freaking awesome. I hope you're ready for the next 18 months. Justin, are you familiar with Iram Siddiq? Yes. I have heard that name. Is it Siddiq? Love his live streams on YouTube. Great podcast guest. Okay, cool. Let me screenshot this, Justin. I know that name, so I must have seen some of his YouTube videos pop through. Web Squadron. I love his brand. Love that. Count me in. I grew up playing Rogue Squadron from Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, way too much. May have even borrowed my brother's old GameCube years ago and busted it out, and it was freaking awesome. So anything with Squadron, I'm in. Oh, Lisa says, I cannot say enough about WDP. Just do it. 4.5 years, and I'm a completely different version of me from 2020. That's freaking awesome, Lisa. Screenshotted. Gosh, that's awesome. You are a different person, Lisa. You are not even recognizable as far as a business owner. Not only do you have an amazing, stable, MRR-based business, web design business, but you're the Moxie Maven, and you're a webpreneur now. So awesome. And I know a lot of web designer pros are webpreneurs at heart. Like Alexia, I know she has interest in community and doing more summits and video stuff. So, it'll be a more than 100%, Alexia. Yeah. You may have 1,000% exponential growth in the next 18 months. Awesome. August of 22 is when Austin joined. Awesome, Austin. Gosh, I feel like you've been in it longer, but that's right. That's good to know. Austin is a go-to and was the showrunner at WDPCon 2025, by the way. Huge thanks to Austin. All right, going to join Web Designer Pro this June. Been waiting to do this for years. Oh, all right, here we go. Then it's time, Zen Sailing. I got to know your real name. So let me know your real name, Zen Sailing. That way, I'll recognize the brand, but when you jump in, I'll send you a video and hear about where things are at. Awesome, guys. Loving the chat. Thank you, guys, Pro members who are talking about what you've been taking away and how Pro has help you. A rising tide lifts all boats. Justin says, Josh, you're the freaking tsunami with WD Pro. Oh, well, thank you, Justin. Yeah, it's easier now because I just try to lead the way. Now I'm learning from people and then including it, like learning from Lisa on her quarterly calls that she did with clients. I was like, I never even thought about that. So what do? We learn about how Lisa made a ton of extra money from offering quarterly calls to her maintenance plan clients. And she did a live training in Pro, which is available. You can jump in training library and watch that. And you'll get access to all my courses. So awesome. All right, guys. Well, we have 7 minutes left. Being that it takes me a lot of work to get through one question in less than a couple minutes, I want to try to take any final questions. So jump in the chat, put a Q in front of your question if you would, so I know it is a question, and I will make a couple minutes for it here. AJ, yep, good to see you. Been in WDP for a few months. Your paid content has been amazing. The lead flow and consultation funnel is in a much better place right now. Awesome, AJ. Good on you, dude. Applause for that. Yeah, so what AJ is referencing, you don't know, is in my business course. I have a whole flow that I recommend. Lead flow is a good way to frame it. I don't call it that. I call it a funnel, but it's technically a flow, I guess. Maybe I should change the terminology from funnel to flow because that makes more sense. But I always thought about it as like funneling clients and then dispersing them from questionable to qualified, and then they go into your quoting process after that, depending on where they're at in their business and if they're going to be a good fit or a not so good fit. Jeremy in with the most important question of the day, especially for hockey fans: Oilers or Panthers? Yeah, so my little guy and I watched the end of the game last night because he didn't go to sleep till almost midnight. So we watched the end of that. Jeremy, I'm rooting for the Oilers only because the it's a rematch. For those who aren't NHL fans, the final, it's a rematch from last year. Panthers won last year, and I'm happy for Bobrovsky. He was our old goalie for the Blue Jackets for a long time. But I think it would be cool to see McDavid get the cup after all the hard work. And yeah, it's going to be interesting because the Panthers are mean, but the Oilers could do it. So I'm personally rooting for the Oilers, but I do feel like they're the underdogs in the series. Oilers here, says Jeremy. Respect. We'll have to talk to Michelle Bermanier, my personal SEO guru and pro, because she lives in Edmonton, and I know her boys are all in it right now. So I'll have to check in with her to see how the bedlam is going in that town. Yes, Justin. Lindsay Halsey just launched her new Circle community for Pathfinder SEO. Yep. Great to have her on again. I will. Yeah. She did tell me about that recently. So maybe we'll add Lindsay back to the upcoming podcast list here. I'm going to take a screenshot of that to remind myself. Every call I do, I have screenshots that I have to go through and look at what do I need to follow up on? What do I need to remind myself on? And then what do I need to throw into the wall of love for all these awesome testimonials? Thank you, guys. All right. Hey, Josh, just starting my freelance journey after several years in tech. Congrats. How do you recommend someone start getting clients without having too much external proof of their work yet? So the really cool thing is you can build your portfolio without, actually I have a podcast on this about without having paid clients. What podcast was that? Let me see what episode this was. Here you go, 132. So episode 132 of the Web Design Business Podcast. I will put it in the chat for you. Is it Inasuma? Am I saying that right? Inasuma? Close enough, I hope. Here is the podcast on how to build a portfolio, just purely to start getting clients. So I just posted this in the chat. This will help, though, as far as when and how to offer free builds. The biggest tip in this, though, is to just use the term featured work or recent work. Clients don't need to know that this is your third project or your 300th project. They don't need to know that. It's nice to have a body of work when you get to that point. But as long as you have good work and you can prove that you could do something from start to finish, featured work is the term I would use, or recent work. And then you can you can still build websites without getting paid clients yet based off of certain industries, just as proof of work. I would personally get real clients in the way of offering maybe 1 or 2 free builds, particularly if you're in an area where there's local businesses that have a referral network. Because if you do a site for them for free with constraints and boundaries, then you can absolutely get referrals from that are paid. And again, they don't even need to know that you're just starting your business. Honestly, I wouldn't even do too much in the way of, other than launching your business. I would just say, this is what I do. This is how I helped. Here's the proof. Here's our recent work or our featured work. That's all people need to know. That's all people need to know. And there are some people who want to give new business owners a chance, but clients do want to know that you're going to be around. I will say the challenge for brand new web designers is clients are going to want to know, look, if I invest $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 in a website with you, are you going to be around in a year? Or at the very least, are you part of an amazing web design community like Web Designer Pro? That way, if God forbid you need to close up shop, you could pass your work on to other people who are web colleagues. That's going to be huge. So things to consider, but I hope that podcast episode and post helps for you. Yep. Good thoughts from Jason. You could build your portfolio building free sites for charities. Justin actually did that to test out Divi 5. Awesome, Justin. I didn't know that. That's great. Yeah. So Alexia is a great example of this. She did was it a whole website or just branding, Alexia, for the Glaze Bake Shop Passion Project? And that's got her a ton of clients. Still have it on her site because people love it. So let's look at that to wrap this call up real quick. So this is Alexia's site, Visual Vibe Design. Can you believe that she's been only in business for 1.5 years? This site's been up for only a year, right? So let's look at the work. And the glaze, is it on here? Maybe it's elsewhere. Oh, wait, there it is. Yeah, Glaze Bake Shop. Yeah, she's got it here. So she did, look, this is such a great way to outline and put like a case study page on a website. What did she do? She did brand design, web design, copywriting, brand strategy, and social media. Hot dog. Alexia has been busy in her first year in business. But yeah, great way to go about this. So yeah, this was a free site, right? I forget all the details exactly, but I believe this was like a trade-off or a free site. Is that right, Alexia? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is beautiful though. Yeah. Such good work. Freaking awesome. Also, that looks delicious. Yep. Very, very cool. Good on Alexia. Look at this. Beautiful. What an example. Inspiration, which is also a space I'm working on in Pro, which is going to have some really good examples of Web Designer pros and their websites and their work. So good stuff. Branding and a one-page design. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, great example. So let me know if that helps. All right, everybody. We're at an hour. Very fast hour indeed. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for joining. Thank you for great questions today. And again, I would love to help you further if you're ready to jump up your revenue and learn a lot and prepare this summer in particular. As we all know, you can get business every week of the year, but summer is a time, if you can, to do some time as people are on vacations and kids are out of school, to do some learning and some leveling up. And while I would never say don't market in the summer, do, but if you are in a place where you can invest in yourself and get ready to hit the fall running, particularly like August and September, now is a great time to do that. I would love to help you even further. Below in the description is your code to use to jump into Web Designer Pro, 50% off your first month. And again, what I would do if I were you is I would jump right in here and I would jump in to check out the recent live trainings that we did for our WDPCon event because they're so good. And everyone who was there has talked about how transformative these were, like before and after moments in business. So you can get in on this. It can really help you as you get ready to level up your business, get more clients, charge more, know your worth, close better, have the proper mindset on pricing, help you build your MRR, help you with email and newsletters, which are more important today than ever, at the very least, some sort of email. So would love to see you in there, guys. And again, secondly, jump in the wins and successes. This is exactly what's working for folks. It can work for you too today. Yes. Alexia said, yes, we need the pro website inspo place. I'm on it. I'm literally working on it. So it's my next big project that I'm working on for pro. Maybe I'll do a simplified version just to get it going, to build some momentum on that, and then we'll go from there. And Alexia will be on it because she's such a good example and she's such inspiration. All right, guys. Well, looking forward to seeing you in sailing in pro this month. Again, guys, great questions. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging for a while. Hope this helps, and I will see you. If I don't see you in pro, I'll see you on the next live stream, which will be in July. But I do hope to see you in pro. Again, June 50 is the code to use for 50% off your first month on the courses or community tier. And then I will let everyone know when we open up some spots for coaching, which is now at capacity and on wait lists. So I told you guys it was going to happen for those who've been waiting. But if you're like, I missed it, I really want to get up on the weekly coaching calls, DM me as long as you're in pro, and we'll see what we can do. All right, guys, have a great rest of the week. It's Friday, so have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'll enjoy what I can this weekend. Gonna have a good time. All right, guys. Alexia says, amazing live as always. Good to see you, Jeremy. All right, everybody. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. See you over in pro, hopefully. Cheers, everybody. Oh, no, the delayed ending. Where's the end button? Ah, there it is. It's called Finish in Ecamm Live, by the way, if you guys are using Ecamm Live for streaming. It's not in stream. It's Finish, which I will now click in 3, 2, 1, off air.